Men worldwide have had to learn and understand and adjust to is the world doesn't lie to us. The world doesn't lie to us in general. It is what it is. If you short, you short. If you ugly, you ugly. If your breath stink, your breath stink. If your eyes look crooked, the world will tell you. Boys learn this from an early age. When we were 1, 2 years old, we started to notice you knew whether or not you were a cute little boy or not. The world stopped lying to us far back than we can remember. But women, oh no, women on the other hand, you have been lied to, and you have been coddled far more than any other time in history over the last 1975 or 80. Let's say 1980. Since 1980 on, women, you have been, how I don't want to say lied to. You've just been shielded from some uncomfortable truths. We have been getting closer and closer to the more PC, politically correct, not wanting to hurt anyone's feeling, everyone gets a trophy kind of world. And as such, women, in my opinion, you have paid the ultimate price. Why? Because you have been detached, a lot of women have been detached from reality.
There you go lying again. Stop lying. Drop the beat, Shantae.
Kevin Samuels, it's been a great loss. Kevin Samuels has not only influenced the world, he has influenced millions and millions and millions of people, and will do that for years to come. And he is exactly right when it comes to lying to women. It's so bad. If you ask the average woman what are the most important things to her in a relationship, I'm guarantee you top 5 is going to be don't lie to me, but men continue to do it. You see, when it comes to women, part of I can honestly say this is where women may be better than men. Their intuition, their gut, they can sense things. But when it comes to telling them what they want to hear, that's when they lose out. When it comes to men lying to them, that's when they lose out. When it comes to them not acknowledging or seeing that they've always shared men, this is where women are not intelligent. In the video where Kevin Samuels says women are detached from reality, man, when it comes to them in relationship with the men and having to share a man, totally detached from reality. Totally detached. You have women 75 years old, never had a man just for themselves, or just never seen a man with just one woman, but they're going, shoot, I want me a man with one. It's like seeing a pink elephant. Even though you ain't never seen it, you still want it. Shahrazad Ali in this next video exemplifies this perfectly. There are so many women that think they are in. There's so many married men that will tell you, that married women that will tell you, keep that stuff out there in the streets. I don't want to know about it. They want you to practice invisible polygamy. They will allow you to have other wives as long as they don't know about it. Why would they want to be in La La Land? But Shahrazad Ali explains it in the most perfect way.
One woman,
Right.
and never desiring to have another, before
Right.
slavery, during slavery, or after slavery.
That's
The black
just the
man
truth.
has never been recorded to have just one woman.
Right. Well, I think there's some actual facts we can look at on that. Monogamy has failed for the white man in America.
But this is like saying it's okay.
It's not me saying it's okay. This is how they're living. I'm giving you the history of what their life is. Black men haven't been waiting on me to tell them it's all right to have more than one woman. Neither have white men. You know, this is just what they do. I'm not talking about fornication and adultery. I'm not talking about one-night stands and running around rampant with other women. That's not the kinds of, when I say more than one woman relationship. I mean that before we came to America, our men had more than one wife and family. And we were satisfied with it because we had not met the monogamy idea. We had not met the American white woman who, you know, insists on certain kinds of values in her man. We had not learned envy and jealousy. All right, after coming here, those kinds of ideas were bred into us because of society and the mores that the Americans made up here. And so then we started to have problems with that. But I think that since it is apparent that most of them, not all of them, it's certainly up to the man, do love more than one woman. I got tons of mail. A lot of black men write and tell me that they have had two women for 5, 10, 15, and 20 years, and they can't even get the women to speak to each other. Sometimes they have two families,
Would I want
two sets of
to, but
children.
Shahrazad, would I want to talk to a woman who's sharing perhaps the bed and the money and the social life with who I would deem as my man?
If you want to deal in reality, and if you are not insecure, and if you don't think that that robs you of something, you would want to know them. If he loves her, you certainly should want to know her.
There are a lot of black women out there who say,
Oh, I know
"Sister,
they're mad about that idea. I understand, you know.
That
And
would
that's
never
not
hold
easy.
water.
Wait a minute, that's not easy. And that's a frightening thought to most of us. And I don't like that. I'm not for that. I'm in agreement with everybody else. Our men ought to just have one woman. But that is not the reality. I'm trying to get us to deal with some reality for a change. Stop dealing with fantasy. Stop dealing with television. Stop dealing with imagination of how we wish things were. Let's deal with them how they are, what it is, present tense. And
but
if we
because
deal
that's
with that,
happening
then,
doesn't mean I have to like that or
no,
want
that
to
means
accept
that you can live in hell. That means you can live in doubt. That means that you can always be checking on your man. That means that you can be insecure and be, you know, tearful. And that means you can be disappointed when you find out the real truth. And you don't want to have that in your life. None of us do. But in order not to have that, then we have to deal with some reality and recognize that men are not limited in the way that women are. Men are able to love more than one woman. I'm not talking about, as I said, just a random sexual relationship of fornication and adultery and all of that. I mean that there are many black men who have children by more than one woman. What is to become of those children? They need their father.
But if
to
you would
express
cheat
our
on me
dissatisfaction.
or walk out
well,
on me,
see, that's what I'm saying. We have to get into definition. Who told us that thing? And if this is what he thinks his responsibility is, then what kind of hell are you going to go through to prevent that? Since we cannot stop him, we have not been successful. The white woman has not been successful in stopping the white man from having another woman. They call them a mistress. We pick up a lot of that terminology. But a man who has two women, that's not necessarily a mistress. That's just his other woman. Now, we got two choices. We can be the woman or the other woman. We don't have but those two. Now, I know we don't like that. I don't like that, you know. But that's the reality of our life at some point. Now, it's up to the man.
But
Every man doesn't want two women, but those that do, they're
what about
going to
our
do it.
morals and our religion?
Who's
Shahrazad Ali was talking about this like 30 years ago. Beautiful woman trying to get women to deal in reality is what she says. Not only that, there are so many men that are not in reality. You got men live their whole lives cheating or refractionary cheating, which, like, refractionary is, you know, like I said, you know, when a drug user stop using and they go back, or a guy, you know, you have to have a rest period, or, you know, this is how people live. But even guys don't want to acknowledge this. And even men have difficulty being honest and straightforward and being truthful, even with themselves. This video was inspired by my buddy Big Mill, and lives in Jacksonville, Florida. My buddy Big G, who lives in Savannah, and Anita, and another brother who's voice I'll be using in the video, I'm going to tell you some. I'm always talking to Anita about, polygamy and, why men lie. So I'm going to try to explain to you, sis. Even my sister asked me, why do men have to lie all the time? So these are the issues I'm going to try to tackle in here in a very simple way. I'm going to try. And it's very difficult for a man to be honest and direct. It's very difficult for men to be honorable. It's difficult. There are men who will go, it's just easier to lie. You know how many men that a woman would be a side chick or, know that rather than to be called a wife, even though that's a much respectable position? With my boy Milt in Jacksonville. Excuse me. He says to me, man, I can't put myself, basically he's saying this, I can't put myself in position, so I'm going to just stay home. Like I say, like a house cat. So, because if I go out, I'm going to slip. But you know what? I told a brother, man, much respect, but it's very difficult to fight your nature. He knows he just wants to be straight and narrow. He wants to be good, and I have to encourage him to be good. But as long as he stays home and, stay pretty much around the house, he feels like he'll be safe. I think he won't go on like a vacation without his wife. Now he just doesn't trust himself is what I'm thinking, Milt. And look, man, I'm talking directly to you, man. Shoot, bro. I'm not trying to influence you to do anything wrong or man, do what's in your best interest. I have to support you. I get it. Then I had another buddy of mine who is going, man, I had to lie. He's divorced from his wife, right? He told his wife he was coming to see me. Even though he's divorced, he's so used to lying, he couldn't even, he lied to his wife and didn't even have to. This is how much men lie. Because for whatever it's worth, men just, you get away with more by lying than telling the truth. This is why it's difficult to be a respectable man. A man who is lying will get away with more than a man who's being honest every single time. My sister told me, she said, you know why y'all can lie to us so easy? Because we want to believe it. And then my friend Anita, I'm really making this video for you because I keep saying I'm gonna send you some articles on, the dumbest things that women say to men, which I'm gonna do a video for that. One of them is my man ain't being with another woman. 80-year-old women always have shared, but they be talking about, I want a man for myself. To me, it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Men can't even be honest with their daughters. You know how many men won't tell their granddaughters how men really are? You know how many men won't tell their daughter, look, he gonna have some other women. Men know how men think. And this takes into account preachers, politicians, brother-in-laws, people who have an incentive to not tell you the truth. I'm not including them in this group when I ask men to be like, how many of your friends don't have other women? You can't trust these people who have an incentive to keep it away from you. But people who don't have any incentive, people who are totally free, very few men in the world is just sitting with one woman, or he doesn't have options, or he isn't attractive, or all those reasons. Okay, I'm gonna come right back. I want you to listen to this lady about why men cheat. But this video is about why men cheat, why men lie, and probably why men should practice polygamy. But let you hear this sister.
Good evening, judges. Biologically, sex is designed for one main purpose: procreation. Anything else, that's extra. The female reproductive cycle comes around once a month. For a man, it's every day. For each sexual act, the woman's one egg is matched by the man's 120 million sperm cells. Now let's do some calculation. 120 million sperm cells a day, every day, as opposed to one egg a month, every month, means, assuming all the cells are viable, that it will take only 30 men to impregnate all the women in the world. This points to one clear fact: a man is, by nature, polygamous. Monogamy and fidelity are unnatural situations promulgated by religious beliefs and social pressures. Take those away, every man would cheat. It's simply biological. Now let's look at the extra. It's a known fact that women, for the most part, are more emotional than men. So it's natural that after a sexual encounter, she'll be attached. But because a man is visual and logical in nature, there's no emotion involved. For him, it's just a physical release that's got nothing to do with love. A man loves his woman by protecting and providing for her. Period. It's really quite simple. For a man, the physical and the emotional, two separate entities.
Now, let me get into why men cheat, why men lie, why my father, my husband, my brother, why does he have to be with these other women? And sometimes people see it as, man, he's going down. He's dealing with a girl that's of the street. Let me give you some information on polygamy. And I'll say polygamy and sharing, right? So polygamy and sharing is, I'll just say sharing. When I say polygamy, just think of sharing. She's coming from a biological perspective. There are so many reasons why, but it's epic in what she's talking about, and she's so on point. I mean, this is just one variable into why men have, or not have to, but want to be with other women. Let me tell you what's going on with some of these women also, which produces a situation where they're jumping from man to man to man to man to man, man to man, but yet they don't practice polygamy, they don't share. And they don't let so many men jump up and down on them. There are too many options. Now, I had a friend of mine that talked about numbers. And let you hear him, and then I'll come back.
I think that the main variable is a simple one, and it's choice. There's a book, I haven't finished the whole thing, but pretty good book. It's called The Paradox of Choice. And basically, the more choices that you give people, the more crippled they become in their decisions. So you ask a person, hey, what's your favorite soda, Coke or Pepsi? I mean, there's only two choices. It's either you like Coke or you like Pepsi, or you can say, I don't like either, right? But if you ask them what's their favorite drink, they won't know what to tell you. Most people won't know what to tell you because there's so many choices. The more you narrow choices down, the better people's decision making becomes. That's men and women, it's human beings in general. Now, in those agricultural times, you didn't have much of a choice because your survival was tied to your family, the person that you were with. You relied more on each other. As you've gotten more and more away from that, um, the choices have become greater, and people's decision making has become less and less, which is why in a lot of these countries, the government is the one who makes most of the decisions for people, and people are perfectly fine with that.
Now, you got these women on Instagram and all these web pages and all this stuff where men are going after them. but not committing to them. So they are important. It's sad to see old women out here still doing that. And just like my buddy was saying, in reference to choice, it's like it's an interesting book. It's the way that I kind of put it is, if you want to see some kids argue, like if you're teaching school or family, if you have the same color lollipops or the same color ice cream or cones or candy, and you give it, nobody will say anything. But if they're different colors, because of the choices, the kids will start crying. I want it red. I want it. This was happening with a lot of women. A lot of women can't settle down, so they just let dudes jump up and down on them, and then be like, I don't want to be with nobody. No, that ain't true. Ain't nobody committing to you. That's the big deal. Oh, they'll come with all kind of excuses why guys aren't committing to them. But, in all honesty, I don't think most women, especially as they get older, don't want to be alone. For the women listening to this video, I'm going to be as honest as I can possibly be. It is very difficult because, see, now I live a polygamous life, and I can tell you I can get away with more by just saying, hey, I'm just gonna come by and see you, and we're gonna date. So in other words, I can get away with more by just lying. This is another reason why men cheat. It's easy to lie than tell them the truth. That's just the honest truth. And for all of you men, think of how many baby mamas or baby daddies or whatever people could have stayed together, because there are so many relationships that people get divorced or break up because of cheating. There are so many men who could have kept all their baby mamas together. Because I can tell you the data is there's no argument anymore how important biological fathers are. Did I say stepdaddies? No. How important biological fathers are. I won't go through the data, but just as there is a correlation between poverty and crime, there is also a correlation between having a loving relationship with your biological father and crime. There are so many statistics from suicide to teen pregnancy to running away. It is incredible, the numbers. Don't believe me, look the numbers up, and it is incredible when a person has a loving, ongoing relationship with their biological father. There are men that lie so bad, they lie about everything. Because, it starts from, just as Kevin Samuels was talking about, do I look fat in this dress? You goddamn right you look fat in that dress. But men don't do that. We're taught to lie to you. And women will kick man to the curb. You know how many women, if you told them, I'm going to marry you, you'll be my second one. Oh, no, I don't want no second one. But the whole time, she been a jump off her whole life. There's women out there ain't never been married. Dudes just been jumping up and down on them. Some guy comes along and tries. It's hard being an honest, ethical man. It is not easy being an honest and ethical man. You see, it is better to be a concubine than to be a girlfriend. At least if a man, if that's his concubine, he's responsible to her from a financial standpoint, etc. But when you have a boyfriend, you just a sergeant's queen. By the time you get 30 something years old, how many dudes ain't committed to you? Because you sitting up here talking about, oh, okay, if I were a woman, I would encourage my man, let's just go ahead and be polygamous, because I know what the deal is. I'm telling you, most men are afraid of this conversation. They're afraid. They're not going to tell their daughters, look, this is how men are. You're not going to get no man just sitting there, just in your face. Most men ain't going to do that. They're going to lead their daughters into a world of mistrust and not understanding men's nature, even though they know this. It's difficult for a man to toe the line. It's difficult for a man to be honest. Then women ask why men lie. Women have rarely seen a monogamous relationship in their total life. Either they've been in a pseudo polygamous relationship, or they just caught the man cheating. I say this with much respect. If you're dating, you're sharing. You got men who travel. That's all they do is share women. But they'll tell you, I don't like to share. Some of these guys out here. If you had boyfriends and husbands, you sharing. That's just most people's life. I'm just being honest and upfront. If you've had boyfriends, what is that? Some guy that ain't responsible to you? If I were a woman, I'd rather have a guy straight and narrow, just like I'm talking to you right now, than some guy. And I've been amazing how women go through this their whole lives. Their whole freaking lives. Women get old and be like, I want a man for me, and they old as hell. There are reasons why men cheat and don't break up. The laws. It's so litigious in the United States. People be like, well, I don't want to lose my kids. I don't want to be thrown under the bus. So people will stay with people. Sometimes why men cheat, they want to do they seek validation. Sometimes why men cheat, they want to some woman triggered their hero instinct. In a nutshell, most men have a deep-seated urge to step up for the woman who cares for them the most. There are some women of the night that shows their husband much more respect than the woman in front of them. Malcolm X wrote in an autobiography he did with Alex Haley. He was saying that, there are a lot of women that couldn't understand why, like a lot of guys go to prostitutes. And he said many men would go to these prostitutes before they went to work real early in the morning or whatever, because the prostitutes could cater to their ego. They made them feel like a man. You see, Malcolm said that a man's greatest urge is to simply be a man. But I can tell you that in America, women aren't taught that. Do you guys realize that you can't even get into a group of women in the United States and here we need to respect men? Think about that. I've never heard that in my life in front of it with a whole group of women saying this about men. Oh, I've heard it about women through college and everything. So I think that's maybe part of the problem too, why men cheat. An ego boost. Not only I'm talking about nature and biology, but there's an ego. So there's other reasons. And this is the reason for polygamy. Men do desire change and variety. It's just I think in men's nature. Some of these guys are sexually addicted. They got compulsive sexual behavior. Some guys get the thrill. According to a psychosocial intervention for sexual addiction, people with sex addiction use sex as an escape from other emotional and psychological problems, including stress, anxiety, depression, and social isolation. That thrill that comes with cheating is another, Some people cheat because you work with people, and you're around these people all the time. You talk to these people more than you talk to your spouse. I read a study where, on average, people talk to their wives when they're working full time. The wife is working full time. People speak less than 30 minutes a day, on average. Some men don't even see it as bad. Some men have unresolved childhood issues. Some men desire to relive, being young again. Some people fall out of love. There are many, many reasons. Some people feel like they truly do care for their partner and are truly in love with them, but the opportunity presented itself.